Hi, my name is Zarina Aisha Miran, and today I'm going to talk about what an iRule is, how an iRule works, when to use an iRule, and when not to use an iRule. An iRule is pretty much a syntax that's based off TCL, which is Tool Command Language, and extra LTM functionalities that are provided from the F5. And what it allows you to do essentially is program some functions, some sort of functionality that is not available via the CLI or the GUI. And so it's like Microsoft Azure. When you go into the portal, there might be some functionality that you can't get. So you'd use PowerShell to make that happen. Now, the reason why you might want to use an iRule is to allow you to interact directly with traffic that's passing through the device. So you might want to redirect traffic from, one port to another port. You might want to modify a URI, so you might want to modify the path. You might want to inspect logs, and if it meets a criteria, you might want to then execute a command for that. So an iRule is triggered by the client. So when a user hits a VIP, it would initiate the iRule if that has been created and attached to the VIP. So how does an iRule work? It's essentially a config object, which is part of the whole bigip.conf file. So whenever you create an object, it's saved to that file. If you do save to the file, that is. And you can create this on the CLI, the GUI, or potentially an iRule editor. So let's have a look at an example now of an iRule and go through it together. Okay, so here is a very simple iRule consisting of 3 statements. Now, before I explain line by line how this works, let me give you a little bit of a background of what we are trying to achieve here. So a user might be connecting to a URL, so a VIP here, and they will be connecting on port 443. However, there are a bunch of services that are running behind this URL, which the user doesn't really know of. So they don't really know of the port, and they shouldn't really know about the port, really, because that's how it becomes quite complicated. So what they do is they hit the URL, and if they go to the home page or they go to a particular service, then the URI, which stands for Uniform Resource Identifier, is what essentially differentiates the services from each other. So if I go onto a website and I hit one service, the URI might be service 1, or if I hit another service, it might be service 2. So the F5 now needs to differentiate between these services so that they can then allow that client to connect to the right service in the back end. So how does this work? Now, the first statement is straightforward. When HTTP_request. This means when the client initiates a HTTP request, it will then go onto the second line. Now, the second line, as you can see, there is in brackets HTTP URI, and this is a variable that's passed in. So when the client goes and hits VIP /service 1, or in this case another page, would be passed through this bracket. Now, when that gets passed through the bracket, it will then be matched against a pool. So another page here is mapped against pool_Zarina services. So what that means is the client who wants to access another page, that service, will then be redirected to a pool which contains this service. So this service might be running on another port such as, 3030. So the client connects on port 443, and then the LTM will then map another page to this pool, which is on port 3030, which is created on the LTM. So this is the sort of functionality that an iRule can provide. Again, you can create all sorts of iRules, but this is just a simple one that I wanted to explain to give you kind of a gist of how it works. So when would you want to use an iRule? Like I said, you would use an iRule when you want to, I don't know, redirect traffic, modify URI, basically make something that the CLI or the GUI doesn't offer. So when would you not use an iRule? You wouldn't use an iRule if the GUI already provides that functionality. I mean, why reinvent the wheel? So an example of this was back in the days, there used to be the whole URL rewrite, but now it's so popular that the F5 itself has this functionality on the GUI for you to implement. So that's it for today's video regarding iRules. If you have enjoyed this content, then please like, subscribe, and leave your comments down below. And thank you for watching. Bye!